What if I told you that Roman Reigns is secretly orchestrating the most shocking betrayal in WWE history? This week on Raw, something happened that nobody saw coming. The original tribal chief didn't just save his enemies, he may have just set in motion a plan that will completely reshape WWE forever. We're talking about a super bloodline so powerful, so unexpected, that it could dominate not just SummerSlam, but the next 5 years of WWE programming. And here's the kicker, his former rival, the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu, might be the final piece of this master plan. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Roman's actions this week weren't random acts of heroism, but calculated moves in a chess game that's been years in the making. Stick around because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see everything that's happening in WWE right now. Today we're diving deep into the most complex storyline WWE has ever created. The Bloodline saga has captivated us for over 4 years, but what happened this week on Raw suggests we're entering an entirely new chapter, one that could redefine what we think we know about Roman Reigns. For months, we've watched Solo Sikoa's new Bloodline terrorize WWE, while Roman seemed content to make sporadic appearances. But Roman Reigns doesn't do anything without a reason. Every move he makes is calculated, every alliance strategic. So when he saved CM Punk and Jey Uso from Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, it wasn't just about being a good guy, it was about positioning pieces on a board for a game we're only beginning to understand. Today, I'm going to break down exactly why Roman's recent actions point to the formation of a super bloodline, how Jacob Fatu fits into this master plan, and why SummerSlam and Survivor Series 2025 might witness the most shocking faction warfare in WWE history. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why Roman disappeared for months after losing at WrestleMania 40, only to return at the perfect moments? The answer might surprise you. Here's something most fans missed. Roman Reigns' disappearance after WrestleMania 40 wasn't about licking his wounds. It was about studying the battlefield. Think about it. Roman held the Undisputed Championship for 1,316 days. That's not just a reign. That's a masterclass in understanding WWE's political landscape. When Cody Rhodes finally dethroned him, Roman didn't throw a tantrum or demand immediate rematches like most fallen champions. Instead, he vanished. But here's where it gets interesting. During Roman's absence, Solo Sikoa didn't just take over the bloodline, he exposed every weakness in the faction structure. Solo kicked out Jimmy Uso, exiled Paul Heyman, and brought in Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu. On the surface, this looked like evolution. But from Roman's perspective, watching from the shadows, Solo was actually revealing which family members could be trusted and which ones were liabilities. When Roman returned at SummerSlam 2024, it wasn't desperation, it was precision timing. He speared Solo Sikoa and helped Cody Rhodes retain the championship, but notice what he didn't do. He didn't immediately try to reclaim his title. He didn't demand to be the center of attention. Instead, he positioned himself as the protector of WWE's established order while quietly observing how the WWE Universe reacted to his return. The crowd's "We Want Roman" chants weren't just nostalgia, they were validation of his strategic patience. By allowing Solo to play the villain for months, Roman transformed himself from the polarizing heel champion into the returning hero WWE needed. But this transformation serves a larger purpose. Roman learned that the WWE Universe's loyalty isn't just about championship reigns, it's about being the right person at the right moment. And now, with his reputation rehabilitated and his enemies revealed, Roman is ready to build something unprecedented. This week's Raw moment was pure psychological warfare, and most fans completely missed its brilliance. When Roman Reigns saved CM Punk and Jey Uso from Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, he wasn't just being heroic, he was demonstrating the most sophisticated manipulation we've ever seen in WWE storytelling. Let's start with CM Punk. These two have a history that goes back over a decade, filled with real-life tension and professional rivalry. Punk was the one calling out the Shield as corporate sellouts back in 2013. He's been critical of WWE's direction during Roman's rise to the top. So why would Roman save someone who has questioned his legitimacy for years? Because Roman understands something most wrestlers don't. Your former enemies make the most loyal allies when they owe you their career. By saving Punk, Roman created a debt that goes beyond storyline. Punk now has to publicly acknowledge that Roman Reigns, the man he once criticized, came to his rescue when nobody else would. This psychological advantage is invaluable. Punk's credibility with the WWE Universe is unquestionable, so when he eventually endorses Roman's leadership, it carries weight that no scripted promo could achieve. Then there's Jey Uso, the main event who left the Bloodline to forge his own path. Jey's journey from loyal soldier to independent star was supposed to be his liberation from Roman's shadow. But by saving Jey, Roman reminded everyone, including Jey himself, that family bonds transcend individual ambitions. Roman didn't save Jey because he needed him, he saved Jey because he could, demonstrating that his power extends beyond championships or faction warfare. This calculated benevolence serves multiple purposes. It rebuilds Roman's heroic image, creates psychological leverage over potential allies, and sends a message to the entire roster that Roman Reigns operates on a level they can't comprehend. When the Super Bloodline finally forms, these saved enemies won't just be members, they'll be believers. Jacob Fatu represents the most intriguing piece of this puzzle, and his potential defection from Solo's Bloodline could be the catalyst that changes everything. Since his WWE debut in 2024, Jacob has been positioned as Solo's enforcer, the Samoan werewolf whose athleticism and intensity brought legitimacy to the new Bloodline. But here's what WWE has been subtly building. Jacob Fatu is too big a star to remain anyone's second in command. Watch Jacob's matches closely, and you'll notice something fascinating. The WWE Universe has organically embraced him as a babyface despite his heel alignment. His high-flying moves, his charismatic presence, and his undeniable talent have made him a breakout star who gets positive reactions even when he's supposed to be the villain. This organic fan support is exactly what Roman needs to legitimize his Super Bloodline concept. But there's a deeper family dynamic at play here. Jacob and Roman are cousins, part of the legendary Anoa'i wrestling dynasty. In Samoan culture, family hierarchy matters, and Roman, as the established head of the family, has a claim to Jacob's loyalty that transcends Solo's leadership. The question isn't whether Jacob will eventually align with Roman, it's when and how WWE will execute this inevitable shift. The genius of this potential storyline lies in its authenticity. Jacob doesn't need to turn heel or face, he just needs to choose the right side of his family. When Jacob eventually shakes Roman's hand, it won't feel forced or scripted. It will feel like a natural evolution of family politics that happens to create the most dominant faction in WWE history. Imagine the moment, SummerSlam 2025, Solo's Bloodline is attacking Roman and his allies, and suddenly Jacob Fatu stops mid-assault, looks at Roman, and extends his hand. The pop from that crowd would be seismic, and the Super Bloodline would be born not through corporate booking, but through organic storytelling that honors both family tradition and fan investment. Here's where this story gets absolutely diabolical, and it involves the most shocking betrayal in recent WWE history. Paul Heyman's turn on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41, aligning with Seth Rollins, wasn't just a storyline twist, it was the opening move in a faction war that could define the next era of WWE programming. Think about Paul Heyman's position in all of this. For years, he was Roman's wise man, the strategic mind behind the tribal chief's dominance. Heyman understands Roman's psychology, his weaknesses, and his long-term planning better than anyone. Now imagine that knowledge in the hands of Seth Rollins, a man who has been building and leading factions since his Shield days. Seth Rollins isn't actually injured, that's the rumor circulating through wrestling insider circles. His absence from television has been strategic, allowing him and Heyman to orchestrate something unprecedented. While Roman has been playing the hero and saving former enemies, Seth has been quietly assembling a counterfaction designed specifically to exploit the Bloodline's weaknesses. The brilliance of this setup is that it creates a war between two master manipulators. Roman builds through family loyalty and psychological debt, while Seth builds through strategic alliances and shared ambition. Roman's super bloodline would be bound by blood and honor. Seth's faction would be united by the desire to destroy everything Roman represents. But here's the twist that nobody sees coming. What if Paul Heyman's betrayal of Roman was actually orchestrated by Roman himself? What if the wise man is playing double agent, feeding Seth false information while helping Roman identify his true enemies? The psychological complexity of this possibility adds layers to every interaction we've seen. When these two factions finally collide at Survivor Series War Games 2025, it won't just be about winning a match, it will be about proving which philosophy of leadership can survive in modern WWE. And with Paul Heyman's loyalty potentially still in question, the outcome becomes completely unpredictable. CM Punk's role in this unfolding drama represents the most unpredictable element in an already complex storyline. His history with both Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins creates a triangle of tension that could explode in multiple directions, and his recent interactions suggest WWE is building towards something unprecedented. Let's examine Punk's position carefully. At Survivor Series War Games 2024, he joined Roman's team not out of loyalty, but because Paul Heyman owed him a favor. Punk made it clear he was in it for himself, creating an alliance of convenience rather than a genuine partnership. But Roman saving Punk this week on Raw changes that dynamic entirely. Punk's relationship with Seth Rollins is equally complicated, rooted in real-life tensions that date back years. Rollins' comments about Punk in 2019, questioning his commitment and professionalism, created genuine animosity that WWE has never fully explored on screen. If Seth is indeed building a faction to counter Roman's super bloodline, Punk becomes the perfect weapon, someone with intimate knowledge of Roman's recent strategies and a legitimate grudge against Seth. But here's where Punk's legendary unpredictability becomes crucial. Throughout his career, Punk has thrived on subverting expectations and breaking the fourth wall between reality and storyline. His decision to align with either Roman or Seth won't just be about storyline logic. It will be about which choice creates the most compelling narrative for his character. The most intriguing possibility is that Punk chooses neither side, instead positioning himself as the independent variable that both factions must account for. Imagine Punk at SummerSlam, helping Roman defeat Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, only to deliver a GTS to Roman post-match. Or picture him at Survivor Series, entering the War Games match as the mystery fifth man for Seth's team, only to turn on Seth and hand victory to Roman's super bloodline. Punk's ultimate decision will likely depend on which storyline serves his character's long-term goals, making him the most dangerous player in this entire saga. SummerSlam 2025 at MetLife Stadium represents more than just another premium live event. It's the culmination of years of storytelling and the launching pad for WWE's most ambitious faction warfare storyline. With Cardi B hosting and Netflix streaming to most markets, the stakes couldn't be higher for delivering a moment that defines the next era of WWE programming. The two-night format gives WWE unprecedented opportunity to build and pay off multiple storylines simultaneously. Night 1 could focus on establishing the threat level of Seth Rollins' faction, with surprise returns and shocking alliances that set the stage for Roman's response. Night 2 becomes Roman's showcase, where the super bloodline concept transforms from rumor to reality. Here's how I see it unfolding. Roman and Jey Uso face Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in what appears to be a standard tag team match. But as the match reaches its climax, Solo Sikoa's bloodline interferes, creating chaos that threatens to overwhelm Roman and Jey. Just when all seems lost, Jacob Fatu's music hits, but instead of joining the assault, he spears Solo Sikoa, officially defecting to Roman's side. The visual of Roman, Jey, and Jacob standing tall together would be the defining image of SummerSlam 2025, but the story doesn't end there. As they celebrate, Seth Rollins' music hits, and he appears with Paul Heyman and a mystery faction member, possibly Drew McIntyre or even a heel-turn Cody Rhodes. The stare-down between these two groups sets up the War Games match at Survivor Series while establishing that the faction war has officially begun. The genius of this booking is that it satisfies multiple audience desires simultaneously. Roman gets his heroic moment, Jacob gets his face turn, the Super Bloodline gets its formation, and Seth gets positioned as the ultimate antagonist. Most importantly, it creates genuine uncertainty about who will ultimately prevail in this war, ensuring that every subsequent show feels must-see. Survivor Series War Games 2025 at Petco Park in San Diego will make history as the first outdoor War Games event, but the real history will be made inside those two rings when Roman Super Bloodline faces Seth Rollins faction in what could be the greatest War Games match ever conceived. The outdoor setting adds an element of unpredictability that indoor arenas can't match. Weather conditions, crowd acoustics, and the sheer spectacle of War Games under the stars create an atmosphere where anything can happen. WWE has already begun promoting this event with posters featuring Roman, Jay, and Jacob, suggesting they understand the magnitude of what they're building toward. Here's my prediction for the match composition: Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Sami Zayn, and Jacob Fatu representing the Super Bloodline, facing Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Drew McIntyre, and a mystery fifth man, possibly John Cena making a surprise return or Cody Rhodes completing a shocking heel turn. But the real drama won't just be about who wins, it will be about how the victory is achieved and what it costs. War Games matches thrive on betrayal and unexpected alliances, and this match has multiple opportunities for both. Will Paul Heyman's true loyalty finally be revealed? Will CM Punk interfere to tip the scales? Will Jacob Fatu's loyalty to Roman be tested when family bonds are pushed to their breaking point? The most compelling possibility is that Roman's Super Bloodline wins, but at a cost that sets up the next chapter of this saga. Perhaps Jacob Fatu, despite helping Roman win, realizes that he's ready to step out of his cousin's shadow and challenge for leadership of the Anoa'i family. This would set up a WrestleMania 42 main event between Roman and Jacob, a passing of the torch match that honors the past while establishing the future. The beauty of this storyline is that regardless of how it ends, it creates new possibilities for years of compelling television. So there you have it, the complete breakdown of why Roman Reigns isn't just forming another faction but orchestrating the most sophisticated storyline in WWE history. Every move he's made since losing at WrestleMania 40 has been building toward this moment. The strategic disappearance, the calculated returns, saving his former enemies, and positioning himself for Jacob Fatu's inevitable defection, it's all part of a master plan that will reshape WWE for years to come. The Super Bloodline isn't just about bringing together the most talented wrestlers, it's about creating a faction bound by genuine family loyalty, mutual respect, and shared vision. When Roman, Jay, Jimmy, Sami, and Jacob finally stand together as one unit, they won't just be the most dominant faction in WWE, they'll represent the evolution of what professional wrestling storytelling can achieve when it honors both tradition and innovation. But remember, this is wrestling, and the most compelling stories are the ones where the outcome remains uncertain until the very last moment. Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman aren't just going to roll over and let Roman rebuild his empire. They're going to fight back with everything they have, and that fight is going to give us some of the most memorable moments in WWE history. The question isn't whether Roman will succeed in forming his Super Bloodline, it's whether that success will ultimately be worth the cost. Because in wrestling, as in life, every victory comes with a price, and Roman Reigns is about to learn that leading a Super Bloodline means making choices that will define not just his legacy, but the future of his entire family. Engagement and call to action, 60 seconds. Now I want to hear from you, the WWE Universe. Do you think Jacob Fatu will make the jump to Roman's Super Bloodline at SummerSlam, or will he stay loyal to Solo until the bitter end? And here's the big question. If CM Punk has to choose between Roman and Seth, which side do you think he'll pick, and why? Drop your predictions in the comments below. I read every single comment, and I love debating these storylines with fellow wrestling fans who understand the complexity of what WWE is building. Are you Team Super Bloodline, or do you think Seth Rollins has what it takes to outmaneuver the Tribal Chief? And here's something special. Next week, I'm breaking down the 5 wrestlers who could join Seth Rollins' faction and why each choice would completely change the dynamic of this war. You won't want to miss that analysis because some of these possibilities will blow your mind. Until next time, keep acknowledging your Tribal Chief, keep believing in the power of family, and remember, in the world of WWE, the most shocking moments happen when you least expect them. I'll see you in the next video, and together, we'll continue unraveling the greatest wrestling mystery of our time.